To pursue God is to follow. But if you detour to the left with the worries of the world, or you detour into the right with the doubts and uncertainty, we are then out of pursuit, which moves us out of position. And when we are moved out of position by that trauma, by that fear, by that control, by that force, sometimes we start to question and doubt God in exactly the places that He has us. Hey girl, welcome to the She Believed He Could podcast, a declaration encouraging women to believe again. Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. So join me, your host, as I open up about my faith to believe in marriage, motherhood, sisterhood, and so much more. Let's start the show. Hey girl, and welcome back to another episode of the She Believed He Could podcast. First, I want to just say thank y'all for just welcoming me back with a heart of gratitude, a heart of forgiveness. Okay, I do appreciate you, and I just want to thank you for just being a listener of the show and supporting She Believed He Could movement. Only God knows exactly where we're going and how it's going to go. But one thing that I can say that God is forever faithful, that His hand on this podcast is unchanging, unwavering. And so I am just declaring and decreeing right now in the name of Jesus that I continue to go forth and have faith that surpasses all understanding and truly allow me to get out of my way when it comes to just showing up and producing content, recording podcasts, and allowing myself to be back at the feet of the one who matters. So listen, this week, this episode is going to be so good and so beefy. And I pray that it definitely reaches your heart and just reach down and touch your spirit and allow God to really meet you where you are. And so sometimes we have to really be conscious of where we are and where our minds are. And if we are wandering off into space sometimes in our thoughts, or if we are quitting on ourselves before we even gave it a chance. So sometimes it's where we are. And so I love that we are talking about place, position, and just being in the position to pursue God. I think that a lot of us don't understand what that looks like. You know, of course, we're chasing after God and we want all things under heaven. You know, we want things to be prominent for the kingdom of God, but sometimes we don't understand what that looks like. And this was so good to me because God was just showing me that a lot of people, especially believers and people of faith, that they are questioning their purpose. They are chasing after God for the pursuit of purpose. They are pulling down heaven in question of who and what they are called to be doing in this earth. Who are they supposed to be preaching to? Who are they supposed to be reaching? And sometimes that pursuit is ran and dragged by purpose. And so God was showing me that it's not purpose that one should be in pursuit. God was showing me that it's the position that they allow themselves to move in. And I'll give you a little backstory about this. So I was talking with a friend, and we talk about purpose a lot and what that looks like and the potential of what that could be and how it can be fulfilled. And sometimes we just have to realize that we don't ever fall out of purpose, or we're not getting to a place of purpose, but it's our position of not being in pursuit of God. You know, to breathe life is purpose. To wake up this morning was purpose. To be out of position though while in pursuit, now that is a whole nother story. That is a whole nother situation, because we oftentimes find ourselves out of position while in the pursuit of God. And so I got a fresh revelation. I was talking to my husband about just the place of position and how God oftentimes moves us suddenly, you know, quick. And despite how often or how much we've prayed for something, we don't really expect the timing of God, because we just cannot assume that we know, because we don't. I think for me, for a long time, I was praying to God to move me out of my current position. And I'm talking about my employment. And I would just pray to God, and I felt that I was struggling for a long time and that God was just not hearing me. And I was like, okay, God, whenever you're ready to release me from this place of employment, I am so ready. And if you go back a few episodes, I kind of touch on why that was and just certain things that happened within the workplace, but God would not allow that to happen. And so I stopped praying that prayer. I stopped going to God with the spirit of defeat and with the feeling that it's never going to change. I didn't want to come from a place of just quitting or just, saying, oh, well, but I wanted God to really see my faithfulness and that I trusted the plans that he had for me. And so when you think about purpose, and so many people in this world today, especially people of faith, we are pursuing purpose to give us some type of self-gratification, some type of self-fulfillment within ourselves, that we are really out here doing what God has called us to do. And we thrive and knowing that we are doing something. And so God was just showing that it's not the purpose that one should be consumed with, but it's the position of where they are in the pursuit of him. So I prayed and I asked God for text, because not only is he going to show me revelation, but he is going to show me in the word where I can relate, where I can really grasp the meat of what he is telling me and showing me. And so he took me to the book of Judges. Now, in highlight of this book, I wrote down, despite the efforts of Israel's judges, the people still would not turn wholeheartedly to God. They all did whatever they thought was best for themselves. Our lives will also fall into decline and decay unless we live by the guidelines God has given us. And I love that, because when you think about purpose, again, I'm asking you, what fulfillment is that giving you? How is that going to really set you apart? What is that doing for you to where you feel you just have to have purpose? And I thought about how selfish that is to want to have something that you feel will be fulfilling unto you rather than the Lord. So when God brought me to the book of Judges, he brought me to chapter 20. Chapter 20 specifically is when the Israelites went to fight the Benjamites. So they were going to battle the Benjamites. And so what I love about where God was placing me in this specific chapter is that God was showing me the position that he had called them to. So if you are not familiar with this specific chapter, especially these verses that I'm about to read to you, I want you to really take them with all of its context, because it's not anything to truly comprehend, but just listen to exactly what happened. So they're reading starting in verse 18. It said, before the battle, the Israelites went to Bethel and asked God which tribe should go first to attack the people of Benjamin. So to go up one more verse, though, starting in 17, it said Israel had 400,000 experienced soldiers armed with swords, not counting Benjamin's warriors. It says, before the battle, the Israelites went to Bethel and asked God which tribe should go first to attack the people of Benjamin. The Lord answered, Judah is to go first. So the Israelites left early the next morning and camped near Gibeah. Then they advanced toward Gibeah to attack the men of Benjamin. But Benjamin warriors who were defending the town came out and killed 22,000 Israelites on the battlefield that day. But the Israelites encouraged each other and took their positions again at the same place they had fought the previous day. For they had gone up to Bethel and wept in the presence of the Lord until evening. They had asked the Lord, should we fight against our relatives from Benjamin again? And the Lord had said, go out and fight against them. Verse 24. So the next day they went out again to fight against the men of Benjamin. But the men of Benjamin killed another 18,000 Israelites, all of whom were experienced with the sword. Then all the Israelites went up to Bethel and wept in the presence of the Lord and fasted until evening. They also brought burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord. The Israelites went up seeking direction from the Lord. The Israelites asked the Lord, should we fight against our relatives from Benjamin again, or should we stop? The Lord said, go tomorrow and I will hand them over to you. And right there is when I realized that it wasn't necessarily the purpose of the pursuit of being in battle and really fighting for what they stood for, but it was their position of being in pursuit of God. I realized in these verses that the position was instructed to them. God told them what to do because of their pursuit unto him, because of that surrender surrender because of that assurance and heart affirming of going back to the Lord and really pleading out to him in their time of uncertainty, in their time of doubt. They were getting their butts whooped out there. Do you hear me? Like, they were losing men left and right by the thousands. And I'm sure so much doubt and uncertainty came over them. It looked like they were defeated. They felt, I'm sure, the spirit of defeat. They did not think they had any more left to give. And I'm sure a lot of us feel this way while pursuing what we think we should pursue, which is purpose. And that's when God was highlighting again to me that it's not the pursuit of purpose that moves you into position, but it's in your pursuit of him, which then he positions you into purpose. And so I wrote down in my notes that it's not that we have to go and find purpose or do all of the things for purpose, but to be obedient in the pursuit of God. He will allow and instruct us where we should go, the position of where we should be, despite what it looked like for us and how it may feel, because I'm sure the Israelites had the spirit of defeat. Listen, the position of not being in pursuit of God, it drives defeat. Can you imagine these men being out at battle, at war, and losing men by the thousands? If they would have not been in pursuit of God, if they would not have had that surrender of going back to God and getting direction and redirection of where they should be, and if they should even go back out and position themselves back for war, it would have drove them in the ground, literally defeated with nothing left. So not being in position in the pursuit of God, it will drive defeat. It will drive the fear, the doubt, the uncertainty of all things. The position of where we should be, it's not going to look like how God sees it. It's not going to feel the way that God feels. We have to know that God has moved us into that place, that the position that where we are is for purpose, and that the pursuit of God will stand for good. We can't let our circumstances drive us into that defeat, because they very could have let what they were seeing around them drive them to defeat. They were losing by the thousands. They were being defeated in numbers. Every day they went out there 2 days to defeat and what they thought was a lost cause. Like, okay, God, should we go back out again tomorrow? Like, we aren't really doing much. I mean, we're giving all that we have, and it's not good enough. And God kept encouraging. God assured them to go back out. But on that second day, after losing thousands of men more, God said, yes, go out there tomorrow and I will give you victory. God said yes. So we have to realize that our purpose is radiated in the pursuit of God. Our purpose is in the light that he allows us to see exactly whatever that he sees. So our willingness to go forth, God sees faithfulness. A lot of us is hard to truly grasp that we need to continue to go forth. We need to continue to put one foot in front of the other. And in that willingness, God is seeing faithfulness. Even in our fear, even in us shaking in our boots, even in us questioning every time we do right foot, left foot, every time we make a move, it's not in the shakiness of our walk and how unsturdy it look and how doubtful it may seem, but God is seeing the effort in us going forward, which then radiates the purpose, and God can really see how faithful we are. The Israelites was faithful and proceeding with what God had told them to do. They asked God, should we go back out there again tomorrow? And God was like, yes. Go back out there tomorrow. God knew what was going to happen. God knew that they were going to lose men by the thousands once more. But God needed to see their faithfulness. God really needed to see their hearts of surrender. What happens with that is that God show us in our faithfulness exactly what he has shown us or what he has told us in prayer. God will reveal that unto us. He will give us that victory that we were desperately needing and wanting all along. So to break this down a little bit more, I want to give you the definitions of exactly what we're talking about here. We're talking about pursuit. We're talking about purpose. We're talking about the spirit of defeat. So pursuit is the action of following. In order to achieve something, you have to put some action in and what exactly that you're following. And so that's why I love that we're not pursuing purpose. Purpose is the reason for something being done or created. So if you're chasing the content, if you're chasing the reason for why you're online, why you're uploading on YouTube, why you have a presence on Instagram, if you are in pursuit of what it is that you are doing, can you picture yourself on a hamster wheel of a cycle? And when you do one thing, then comes another, and it's repetitive, and it goes on and on and on and on, because that pursuit of you following yourself for the reason of something being done or created is work. That is the action of doing something to fulfill purpose in your own life. And that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the position that we are called to be in while in the pursuit of God. And in the pursuit of God, He will then radiate purpose in our life, because the purpose is motive, is the cause, it is the reason, the intention, the goals, the desires of what we're actually called to do unto the Lord. So again, ask yourself, am I in pursuit of purpose? Am I chasing the actual content of why I'm doing something? Am I trying to achieve a certain goal by what I produce here in the earth? That is giving me purpose, or if that's giving me fulfillment. I want you to see yourself in that position, that place of position. Now, again, when you're not in the position of being in pursuit of God, that will drive defeat. You will wake up one day or every day and see that you are not uploading podcasts. You are not putting out YouTube videos. You are not active online, because when life hits, it hits hard, and you're not going to be able to show up in the way that you want to. And it's going to affect you, and it's going to make you feel defeated. And that, my girlfriend, is the reality of life. We cannot control the circumstance. And so what I love about the Israelites is that they weren't trying to control what they knew they could not control. They wanted to keep surrendering their hearts, their life back unto God, and get the redirection that they needed to go forth. So what am I saying? I'm saying that it was their position that really kept them in the pursuit of God and really kept the faith. Right there in the text, it said that they took up battle positions. They took up their positions. They knew exactly where they needed to be. They knew exactly the stance that they needed to stand in. They knew exactly what they were supposed to be doing and how they were supposed to be doing it. And they were just holding on by, that tiny mustard seed of faith that God was going to do it. Again, He was the one that told them to go forth, despite the losses, despite the bloodshed, despite how it looked like and how it felt, losing man after man after man. They kept going back unto the Father with their heart surrender. And on that second day, when they were just beat down to the ground, they even presented themselves at Bethel with burnt offerings, and they really fasted and prayed, and they really was showing themselves in their faithfulness unto God, that we don't know what this looks like. We don't know if there's victory on the other end, but we believe in the one that does. And so when they asked God on that second day, and God said, go for tomorrow and I will give them to you. I will give you the victory in your hands. And it reads in verse 30 right there, they went up against the Benjamites on that third day and took up positions against Gibeah as they had done before. That just sums it up, y'all, that the position of not being in pursuit, it drives defeat. And I want y'all to really go back to Judges chapter 20. I started in verse 18, but you can definitely go up, I think, a verse or two. If you are needing to grab context, I definitely understand, because this chapter is so beefy with stories and heroes and wars and battles and all of the deeds that were done back in this testament of time. And so I get that. But specifically, God really placed me at verse 18 all the way down through verse 30. And so, man, I just want to encourage you right now that the pursuit of purpose is not going to look like what it is to you. It's not going to feel what exactly you are needing it to feel. And you're not going to get what you're needing to get without being in position. the position allows us to be moved in places, in rooms, and, just things that we are called to be because we are in the pursuit of God. God will instruct and allow us to go forth and be all that we are called to be in the eyes of Him. And so I want you to definitely get a sense of order in your life and really seek God for direction too, y'all, because let me tell y'all, the detours of life are disguised in distraction. The enemy uses this to destroy us. Okay, that is a whole nother episode. That is a whole nother situation. But let me just be clear that the direction of where we are sometimes are there as distractions. And the enemy used that very distraction to destroy and really just wipe you out from what it is that you were exactly called to do and be. Save that one, put that one in your back pocket for another day, because we definitely can talk about that. But be encouraged, y'all. Really sit with the book of Judges and just allow the intentionality of what this looked like visually, because I'm a visual person. I actually saw them at war. I actually saw them in battle and them coming back to God, covered in blood, covered in dirt, covered in defeat after those couple days, and still going to God for direction, still going to God with their hearts surrendered. And it wasn't that it was the purpose of pursuit that they were chasing after, but it really was the pursuit of God that then allowed them to be moved into position of victory. God gave them victory on that third day. And so I want you to be encouraged, girl, that the position is not being in pursuit that actually drives defeat. So we are needing to position ourselves exactly where God needs us to be. And in pursuit of Him, He will then align that with purpose. He will begin to give us reason for doing what we are doing because of Him. Again, remember that it is radiated, not illuminated. Okay. So until next time, girlfriend, holla.